I think there are 2 parts to it. So instead, just try.
And the way you're doing it is the best.
Describe it's understand like it's solid. So it's not only it seems repetition. More into the book. More I took a book for you then.
Thank you.
Oh,
I'm all right. There you go.
how about your morning? Welcome back to Saturday.
I missed you.
Oh, it's all right.
You were live yesterday?
Not so much. I mean, everything is a lot, but we didn't cover so much ground. A very interesting case.
So the case was what happens, because we're talking about like wishes to Kare. Each different position to bring your sister, your mother, your sister. Yeah. When the Gemara brings question, what about it's a situation where we're all sisters? Your sister, your father's sister, your mother's sister. That's not a point. So your sister will also happens to be your father's sister, and it's your mother's sister. And the question is, how's that even possible? That's the case.
Right. Good morning, Jaime.
Good morning to you, Rabbi.
Please note that. Note that page 14.
Okay, we're on Yudal and Aleph 14a. In the art scroll, 14a2. Let's see. 14a2. So let's try to recap. We'll recap the Gemara for a minute, and then we're going to continue. The Gemara yesterday was trying to understand. We had the word achoto. We had the word achoto where the Torah wrote the prohibition of someone who sleeps with his sister. The Torah says they get kareh. They sleep with their sister. And the Torah already had mentioned earlier, together with other women, that the Torah forbade a person to be with. He can't be with his father's sister. He can't be with his mother's sister. Many different women that the Torah said they can't be with Anidah. Many women the Torah said they can't be with. And then the Torah separates and writes separately an extra, the word that if a person goes with one sister, they get kareh. We already mentioned it earlier when we grouped it with other women. So the Gemara wanted to know what's the reason why the Torah writes again this kareh by one sister. So Rav Yitzchak says he understands that the Torah is teaching us that if a person sleeps with his sister, there's only kareh and there's no malchut. There's no lashes for sleeping with one sister. That's the opinion. Even if the guy is warned and he intentionally violates it, no lashes. The other rabbis, Rabbi Akiva and the Chachamim, Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Yishmael hold, there would be lashes if somebody would be warned about sleeping with one sister. So the Gemara wants to know, what do they do with the pasuk of achoto? What do they do with this extra pasuk of achoto if they do not use it to teach us, to emphasize karet and not lashes? What's the reason why the Torah writes that there's a separate time and an extra time? The Torah is repeating itself. Every time the Torah is repeating itself, there's a reason. So what's the reason for the repetition? So the Gemara said yesterday that the need for the repetition is to teach us that if somebody sleeps with a woman, and this woman is his sister, the same woman has three titles. She's his sister, she's his aunt from his mother, and she's his aunt from his father. The same woman is three. And now the question is, how is that possible? That this woman is his sister, his father's sister, and his mother's sister. So the Gemara gave a case, and we're going to say the case. And yesterday it seemed like the case was difficult, and we're going to make sure today that now, after we learned yesterday, it should be very easy to understand the case. Yes, Sharon.
For one of these cases, right?
So this is the saying, you do not give malchut for all the cases.
Okay, now go back.
Things that are correct will not be subject to malchut.
Okay, if we go back to the Mishnah, what the Mishnah is saying, that everyone we cohabit. So
The Mishnah states that
these
these
are the
women,
one who receive malchut, right? So the
Correct.
Mishnah says this is the case that they're going to receive malchut, and they say Abba lachoto, ve'alachot avi, ve'alachot imo. So all the cases that we're saying right now, they receive malchut based on the Mishnah, but Rabbi Yitzchak is saying they don't receive malchut.
right? Our Mishnah is not like Rabbi Yitzchak. Our Mishnah would be like Rabbi Akiva, right? That's what the Gemara said. That's why. Very good. So, very good. So if you notice on Yud Gimel Amud Aleph on 13a, the Gemara stated, "Masnitin mani Rabbi Akiva." The author of our Mishnah is Rabbi Akiva, because he's the only. That's the Gemara want to say, that the author of our Mishnah is Rabbi Akiva. Now, what do Rabbi Yitzchak could argue on the Mishnah is from the Tanoim, the period of the Tanoim, and the Rabbi Yitzchak is a Tanakh. So he's also in that time period. So therefore, he has a right to argue, but the fact that the Mishnah does not agree with his opinion would say that the law means the law will follow the Mishnah. But the Mishnah is written without anybody's name, anonymous, and the general rule is halacha kistam Mishnah. The Mishnah says the rule. That's the general rule. So therefore, the Mishnah is the opinion of Rabbi Akiva, and it's not like Rabbi Yitzchak, and the law will not follow Rabbi Yitzchak. That's what. Now, getting back, then everybody, let's listen to this case. The case is the following: if a person went with his mother, okay, he slept with his mother, and they had twin daughters, okay. They had two girls who were born from sleeping with his mother. Now, what is the relationship with those two girls and the guy that slept with his mother? Those two, his daughters, are his daughters, and they're also his sisters. That's the key point. This guy, now the Gemara is going to call this a wicked situation here. Risha is a wicked person doing something wicked. So now he went ahead, he slept with his mother, and now he has two daughters, which are also his sisters, and they're his daughters. And then what happened next? And then he went ahead and he went with one of his daughters. He lived with one of his daughters. It was bad enough that he lived with his mother. Now he goes ahead and he lives with his daughters. And one of the twins, had a baby boy. Okay, so he lived with her, and then she had a boy. Mr. Safdie has his pen and paper out. We need the board over here. So now he has a son from his daughter, and then that son from his daughter went ahead and slept with the other twin daughter that he had. He had had twin daughters from his mother, and then his twin daughter from his mother. Then he went ahead and he had a boy from one of the twin daughters, and then after he had a boy from one of the twin daughters, that boy slept with his aunt. That boy, that son, went with his mother's sister. Everyone got the case? We think we broke it down very good, I think. Tell me if it's not clear. We're gonna, Jaime, we already did this yesterday, so for you, it's the first time. But for everybody else, it's the second, Mr. Safdie, it's also the first time. We missed him yesterday. We went and lived with one of his daughters. Again, the son, again, one second. First, he lived with his mother. Then he slept with his mother. Then he slept with his daughter that was born from his mother. Okay, he slept with his mother. He had the twin girls. And then he slept with one of his daughters, and he had a son. And now the focus is on the son. So the son is the one who's now the son goes ahead and he sleeps with his mother's sister, one of the two daughters, one of the twins. So he slept with his mother's sister. So now the prohibition for the son, he violated that woman who's his mother's sister, is the violation of the prohibition now to go with your mother's sister. But not only is that woman his mother's sister, that woman is also his sister. It's also his sister. His mother's sister is his sister. How is his mother's sister his sister? Because they share, his mother's sister share a grandma. Because the father, good morning. The mother's sister, right? The mother's, let's get this straight. The mother's sister is also his sister. How could the mother's sister be his sister? Because they share a grandmother. Because that mother's sister, that aunt, the mother of that aunt is also the mother of that father who slept with his mother. The man who slept with his mother is a child of that mother. And the sister, and that girl that was born, the twin girls that were born from that mother are also a child of that mother. So we have the sisters, the two sisters, mother, and that original father who slept with his mother. So she's the mother of that father. She's the mother who slept with his. She's the mother. The grandmother is the mother of the one who slept with the man who slept with his mother. Right? Everyone got this clear? The man slept with his mother, and as a result of sleeping with his mother, he has two girls. Right? Let's say they'll call the mother Ruth. Ruth. He slept with Ruth. Well, he slept with Ruth. And Ruth has now two, let's say Reuven slept with Ruth. And let's give a better example. Okay, look what we were doing. Reuven slept with Ruth. Okay, so Ruth, let's say, is his mother. Let's say Ruth was Reuven's mother. Okay, we got an example. Ruth was Reuven's mother, and he slept with his mother. And they have twin girls. Correct? Those twin girls to Reuven are also his sisters. Is that clear? So therefore, that's what happened here. So therefore, they are sisters. So therefore the case over here is, so this situation that this boy, the case that we gave, the son who was born from the two sisters, they share their mother's sister. Their mother's sister's mother is also his father's mother, and therefore it comes out that he's not only sleeping with his mother's sister, one prohibition, he's sleeping with his own sister, His mother's sister is also his sister, and she's also the sister of his father. And since she's also the sister, she's the sister of the father, she's his sister. So therefore, we say that we have three prohibitions going on. And since we have three prohibitions going on, we say that, and we said yesterday, if you look at the art scroll, they broke it up nicely. We said yesterday, the art scroll note number 15, 1482, note number 15. We're going to read note number 15 in the art scroll, which makes it very clear. If you look at he says letter number D, he would therefore have three distinct current prohibitions. Since she is his mother's sister, she is also his father's sister, because it's his father's sister because they have a common mother, and its own sister from a common father. So if you'll think about the case, so the bottom line is we have three prohibitions happening in this one woman that he's sleeping with. And the chiddush is that since there's three prohibitions happening in this one woman, even though it's one woman, well, he's going to be, and let's say he didn't know that he's not allowed to be with this woman, he has to bring three korbanot, three separate offerings for being with this woman. So that's what the Torah in general, if a person sleeps with one woman, he did a sin with one woman, he has to bring a korban. If he slept with a woman that carries with, if a person slept with his sister, he has to, and he didn't know that he's not allowed to sleep with his sister. Well, he didn't know it was his sister. So what's the law? He brings a korban. He brings an offering. There's a korban chatat for sleeping with one sister. Not every sin carries with it a korban by doing it unintentionally. A sin to carry a korban offering has to be that the sin was, at least if he would have done it intentionally, it would carry karet or more, karet or the death penalty. A sin that does not carry karet, let's say a person ate not kosher. Eating not kosher does not carry karet. So if eating not kosher carries lashes. So if a person ate not kosher by accident, he does not bring a korban for it. We all know if a person ate chalev, certain not kosher fat, specific not kosher fat, unintentionally he brings a korban because eating chalev intentionally would get karet. But in general, not kosher food is malkut. So if a guy eats not kosher food unintentionally, he will not get malkut. They will get, there's no korban. That's not the punishment. There's no korban. But if a person desecrates the Shabbat, which carries with it the death penalty if he does it intentionally, so unintentionally brings a korban. Going with one sister, which carries with the karet, will get unintentionally, we get a korban. And here, this woman that he slept with, this young man who slept with his mother's sister, who also happens to be his sister, and also happens to be his aunt from his father's side. So this woman that he slept with has three titles of prohibition, the same woman. So what do we say about this woman? We even though it was one woman, he'll have to bring three separate korbanot, three separate offerings for this. Let's see if we could say it a little clearer, the case, just to make it clear. When he goes ahead and he goes with his mother's sister, it's his mother's sister. So that we know for sure. It's very simple. He did that violation of his mother's sister, this woman. Okay, so we have to say we're talking about, in order to bring a korban, he doesn't know. If he knows he did it, then there's no korban for intentionally doing the sin. But the korban would be for unintentionally sin. No, he didn't know. He didn't. So let's just clarify the case. See if we can clarify it a little better. This woman was his mother's sister, but this woman not only is his mother's sister, she's also his sister. the woman that he slept with is his mother's sister. Right, and it's right, and it's also his father's sister. Now, and the reason, if you look at the reason is, now it's his father's sister because it's they have the same mother, because his father, it's his father's sister, because why is it his father's sister? Because this woman, his mother's sister, was born from the same mother that his father was born from. The same mother that his father was born from, this mother's sister was born from, because the father went with his mother. So therefore, this woman, his mother's sister, is his father's sister, because they share a mother. This woman's mother and is also the father's sister. And that's how we get into that. Right. So the pasuk that we're using is achoto. But the fact that it says the word achoto, the extra word achoto. Good morning, Mr. Vitesh. I don't know if I gave you the proper good morning. The extra achoto teaches us this law, that it's separate. We separate each one. By writing karet separately by achoto is telling us that there's a separate karet just for the prohibition of achoto, for the prison of his sister, even though there's other prohibitions happening with the same woman. Now, this woman is also his sister, right? This woman, his mother's sister is also his sister. How is it his sister? Because they share a father. This girl, this boy's mother's sister, it's also his sister. Why is it a mother, sister, his sister? Because they share a father. So if they share a father, so therefore, if the mother's sister's father and this guy's father is the same person. So therefore, if his mother's sister's father and his father are the same person, so therefore this woman is his sister. His mother's sister is his sister because they have the same father. Okay, what do you want to say? It's a little complicated, but the key to remember is, what do they share? This mother's sister, one Ariel. If the mother's sister, the mother's sister, who's that mother's sister's father? And who's that the mother's sister's mother? So if you keep that in mind, good morning, who's the father? Who is the mother's sister's father? And who is the mother's sister's mother? Once we keep that all into consideration, then we're able to figure out why that this mother's sister is not only a mother's sister, it's also, the mother is also a sister to this boy, and it's also his father's sister.
Rabbi,
Yes.
the point of all this is that one act that violates multiple rules is treated as multiple acts and transgressions. Is that correct?
Correct. And even to the level when all of those acts that were done were all acts relating to one sister.
No, but one second, Rabbi, it's one act. It's not multiple acts. It's one act that violates multiple transgressions.
Right, but those multiple transgressions have something, morning Simon, have something unique about it. That those multiple transgressions are all related to some sister issue. It's a sister, it's his father's sister, it's his mother's sister. So they're very connected. The prohibitions are under the sisterhood prohibition connection. even though they're
But
each
is
one
that the point? Is that the point, or is the point that someone can do one thing but violate 5 rules in that one thing?
the question is it both points that it's one in you could violate, you could be obligated multiple things. You see, the Gemara was thinking that since the Torah wrote them all those women together, so if you would do it in one woman, they would only get one chatat. So that's what it seems like you were saying, Jaime. The main point is teaching, meaning without this special pasuk to tell us that you get a separate for each prohibition, we would have said there's only one chatat for all 3. Now the question is, why the Gemara thought it's one chatat for all 3? That's your question. Is it because it's all one woman? Is that the only reason why the Gemara thought it was only one?
Or one act,
one act, and one woman, or is it because the Gemara was thinking they're all related to a sister prohibition? That's why the Gemara would have thought we get only one korban. So if we look at them, let's see if Rashi see. Definitely, the chidush is it's definitely a novel chidush that even though they're all one act in this woman, and all the 3 prohibitions are connected to sister prohibitions, that they're obligated 3 separate korbanot. We'd have to see if the Gemara, what would the Gemara have thought if it would not have been all related to sisters? If, let's say, the 3 prohibitions in this one woman would be independent of the sister prohibitions. Meaning, because the Gemara went ahead and said that this woman was an aunt, a sister, and an aunt from his father and from the mother, and also his sister. Why didn't the Gemara give the case that the woman was also a nidah, right? The Gemara could have said, and the woman was a nidah. Why did the Gemara use that case, which would have made it a little simpler for all of us, at least for me, instead of trying to figure out how the same woman is your aunt from your father, is your aunt on both sides? But it could be that the Gemara might have thought, Jaime, which we have to research, that if it would be distinct, different types of prohibitions that are not related to each other, even if it's in one woman, maybe the Gemara would have known that you would get 3 separate korbanot. Perhaps the Gemara needs to teach you when the 3 prohibitions is one act and one woman, they're related to each other. That's where you might have thought that you will not give 3 different korbanot. But if they would have been totally independent of each other, good morning, Mr. Haber, is the fact if they would be totally independent of each other, even though it's one woman, even though it's one act, the Gemara would not have contemplated, perhaps, that they should not be separate korbanot.
So this transgression requires 3 korbanot, correct?
3 korbanot, exactly.
So what could have been even more interesting is that when this man slept with this woman, imagine she was nidah, add a 4th to the.
Right, exactly. Why did the Gemara? It could have been that also. Why did the Gemara say that? Why did the Gemara give that case? So it seems that the Gemara is only teach because that the Gemara would have known without bringing any extra pasuk. It's a separate prohibition, but when all are related to sisterhood, sister, father, sister, mother, sister, and it's one woman, one act. There we need a special pasuk that says achoto, that it's his sister, that emphasizes that even for the sister act alone, that's that prohibition of just, it's his sister. Nothing to do with anything else. There will be a korban just for that act, for each individual. It's not that even that prohibition, and therefore it teaches us that each one of those prohibitions there'll be a separate korban, even if it's at one act. Now the Gemara says, Rabbi Yitzchak minalei, ham minalei. How does Rabbi Yitzchak know this law? We're on Yud Dalet Amud Aleph 14a2 in the Art Scroll. towards the top of the page, second paragraph around Rabbi Yitzchak. Because Rabbi Yitzchak, the Gemara says that he uses this pasuk of achoto, of his sister, to teach us that there's only karet, there's no lashes. By those, any case where the Torah says there's karet, there's no lashes. How does he know that? Because the extra achoto, the Torah writes, goes ahead and writes the prohibition and writes karet a second time by your sister to teach you only karet and no lashes. And the Gemara says, what do the other rabbis do with that extra pasuk? They use it for what we just said, to teach us that if the woman, his sister, was also his aunt from his father's side and from his mother's side, and one woman, one act, the extra karet tells us there's a separate korban for each and every one of those prohibitions that are violated. But Rabbi Yitzchak already does not have, he used this pasuk for something else. So how does he know this law that if a person sleeps with a woman that's his sister and his aunt on both sides, in one act, how does he know this korban for each and separate offering for each violation? How does he know that? He doesn't have this extra pasuk available to teach us that, because he used this pasuk for something else, that there's only karet and no malkut. So how does he know this novel idea, which everybody seems to agree to? Meaning, there's a fact, there's a law that everybody knows that if a person sleeps with his sister, who's also his aunt on both sides, he brings 3 korbanot. Everybody knows that. But where do we know that from? What's the source? We need a source, right? Case, law, reason. Where is the source for that law? So that's the Gemara's question. According to Rabbi Yitzchak, he does not have the extra achodok that says karet to teach us this law, because he uses it for something else. So where does he know it from? Good morning, Yosef. So the Gemara says he knows it from a different principle, from a kal v'chomer. We know we have such a principle that kal v'chomer, when you have something that's strong and something that's weak, kal is light, chomer is strong. So if the thing that's light has a certain law, so certainly the thing that's more strict will have that law, right? If there's a stringency by a light thing, certainly there's a stringency by a strong thing. So let's see, what is this kal v'chomer? The Tanya, we learned in the Braita. Amar Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva says, Sha'alti et Rabbi Gamliel, Rabbi Yeshua. I asked Rabbi Gamliel and Rabbi Yeshua, 2 of the greatest rabbis of that generation. As you know, Rabbi Gamliel was the Nasi. He was the head rabbi. And Rabbi Yeshua was like his colleague that disagreed on, like Beis Shammai, Beit Hillel. He had Rabbi Gamliel and he had Rabbi Yeshua. And that's the famous Gemara that we learned in Brachot, Rabbi Gamliel, Rabbi Yeshua, regarding Arvit and the disagreement that they had over there. I asked Rabbi Gamliel, Rabbi Yeshua, Be'itlis shel imum, in the market, in the place, in the meat market, in imum, I was in the meat market over there. Kishaholchu likach behima. They went to buy an animal. Lemishteh beno shel Gamliel. Rabbi Gamliel's son was getting married. That's what Rabbi Gamliel's son was doing. He was getting married. So the rabbi himself went to buy the food, to buy the foods for the feast, for the wedding. So it's interesting. Here you have a Nasi, the leading rabbi. He's going to the market. Maybe he's going to the market. Maybe he knows which animals are more likely to not to be a treifa. Maybe through his great knowledge of halacha, he could look at an animal and see which type of animals are healthier and most likely it's not a treifa. There's nothing inherently something wrong inside in the animal, or whatever reason, or why he's the one who went. He get a good deal, whatever whatever the reason was. He was the one who went to the market to buy the. I wonder if it's there's such a halacha when it comes to Shabbat. There's a halacha that as great as you are, you should be involved in doing preparation for Shabbat. The Gemara says that different great rabbis, Rava salted the fish for Shabbat. The other rabbi cut the wood for whatever was needed for Shabbat. Different rabbis did different things, and it's not beneath the dignity of the rabbi to do such a thing, because that's the honor of the rabbi, that he's involved in the honor in Shabbat. Meaning a person has, let's say a person has a maid in their house. They're still supposed to do something for Shabbat. Not that the maid takes care of everything and you don't get yourself involved at all in doing something for Shabbat. There are some men that have that what they do is they light the candle and they blow it out just to make it easy for the wife to light. When a candle is lit once and then it's blown out, it's the second time, since it's already caught once, some people do that. That's one of the things that they're involved in Shabbat. But it's something to look up in the Shulchan Aruch. Maybe next time we'll take out the Shulchan Aruch, which discusses how a person himself should do something, be actively involved in Shabbat. So I'm wondering the same thing with such a great mitzvah of marriage for his son, that he himself wanted to be involved in the purchasing of, independent of getting a good deal, but maybe just to be involved himself into the mitzvah of the Sudah, because it's going to be a great Sudah. But here we are. They went to the market, and what happens? Rabbi Akiva records what he asked Rabbi Gamliel in the market. We're in the market. Make believe you're in, let's say, talking about today's day and age. They're at a show. They're at a clothing show, or they're at Javits Center for what Morris, right? They're at a Javits Center show, and Rabbi Akiva goes over to the rabbis at the Javits Center show at the meat market. Make believe, and he's asking him a halachic question. And that's, by the way, it teaches us a very good thing, that you have to take advantage of the wherever the rabbis are. You find the rabbis at a store, at a market, wherever you find a rabbi, take advantage of the opportunity. If Akiva didn't say, okay, the rabbi's busy buying meat for his sons, I'm not going to ask him anything. The rabbis, I can ask him a question. I'm going to use it as an opportunity. The rabbi's always available to talk in Torah. So wherever you catch the rabbi in the middle of the street, the rabbi's walking somewhere, go over to him. He's, what Tosfos says, that the Mishnah records this story that they were in the market. Why does it tell me about they were in the market? Why did that tell me where you were when you asked them this question, right? I had the honor of living share the lobby of David Feinstein, right? So I would ask him questions. He's coming into the building. I would catch him. I would ask him a question. He's coming in. I'd take him in at a wedding. If I see Rabbi Feinstein at a wedding, sometimes I would ask him a question. He's at the wedding. You're at the rabbi's at the wedding. Go over to him. Ask him ask him something. You have an opportunity to ask him something you need to ask. So Tosfos says that even though the rabbis were busy involved regarding the meal, getting food for the meal, they were still involved in Torah at the same time. It's not that, okay, I'm busy now, I'm not available now. This is what they were engaged with while they were, with time at the market. So,
not only were we involved in purchasing and at the same time, while we were doing that, we were still
right. Well, that's the Chabad, exactly. So what happened? I asked him the following question. Haba alachoto, our case. Someone who slept with his sister. Shehi achot aviv. And the same woman is his father's sister. And the same woman is his mother's sister. This woman is his father's sister, his mother's sister, and his own sister. Mahu. What is the law if a person sleeps with this one woman, one act, but there was 3 prohibitions that were violated in this one act? Eina chayav al kulan ela achat. Is he obligated on all of these prohibitions that he violated one karban? Or chayav al kol achat v'achat? One Rav Mizrahi. Or is he obligated on each and every one? We welcome around, we say hello to Rav Mizrahi. Is he obligated korban on each and every prohibition that was violated in this one act with this one woman? That was the question that Rabbi Akiva asked Rabbi Gamliel and Rabbi Yeshua. See, Rabbi Akiva, Sha'alti, et Rabbi Gamliel and Rabbi Yeshua. Now, right, and you're gonna see, because it's like Kal v'chomer. Look what the Gemara is gonna say. Amru lo. So what did the rabbis tell him? Now it's also fascinating that Rabbi Akiva seems like he didn't know the answer to this question. Rabbi Akiva, by the way, is part of that league. Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Yeshua, Rabbi Gamliel. When the Gemara says in Brachot, when they were, Rabbi Gamliel had to step down, they were considering putting Rabbi Akiva as the Nasi. And instead, that was the story that Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah was the one who was appointed the Nasi. So what happened? They responded, Amrulo Zulo Shamanu. We never heard any case like this, any discussion that made Mr. Vitesh happy. We know that. We never heard any case like this. And we never heard any discussion on this type of case, but we heard a different case. We heard a discussion on a different case. We had a ruling on a different case, and based on that case, we're gonna be able to learn out to answer your question, because we have another case, another precedent on the books, or a Torah Sheba'al Peh, oral law, and we're gonna learn out from that case. What was the other case? A person did a terrible sin. He slept with 5 women that were nida, 5 different women that were nida. And he was not brought to his attention that nida is forbidden. These women are forbidden to him until after he slept with these 5 women. Then it was brought to his attention. He's obligated a korban chatat for each and every woman that he slept with that was a nida, even though they all were one prohibition. They were all nida. And if a person would sleep with one woman who's a nida multiple times, a person would sleep with a woman, multiple times when she's a nida, the same woman, and then he found out she was a nida. They bring one korban because it was one woman, even though it was multiple times, it one korban. But now that it was 5 different women, we say, even though it's one prohibition, but it was 5 different women, he brings 5 chata'ot, 5 different offerings. And we'll stay tuned for Monday. We'll see what the Kal v'chomer will be. Stay tuned, everybody. Have a great day. Good to see everybody. And as they say, you got to keep your thinking caps on. It's good to see Mr. Amos. Have a great day. Beautiful Shabbat to everybody.
Thank you, Rabbi. Shabbat shalom.
Thank you, you too, everybody. Thank you so much.
Bye, Rabbi. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.